Baker Mayfield has a new home. Baker Mayfield is going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes, the Tampa Bay Baconeers.
Ha!
Or Bucker Mayfield. I can't.
Ha!
I've been workshopping it. I don't know. I'm going to tweet one of them.
Is the way that Baker Mayfield's career has gone an L for Oklahoma Sooner fans who might be in town? Because I guess they get to claim Jalen Hurts, and they obviously get to claim Kyler Murray. But isn't Baker Mayfield more a reflection of OU than those two guys? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I think it's interesting that given OU's success as a football program, it's probably the fan base that I encounter the least here in Houston. And I don't know if that's because there's more OU fans that are up in North Texas or in Dallas, but that is a fan base I just don't run into that much. In my group of friends, which is largely A&M fans, UT fans, even a couple LSU fans, I only have one friend that I know likes OU. Maybe I'm wrong on that front, but it's strange. It seems like there would be a lot more fans of that program in town, and I would argue that it's probably at best like the fourth biggest fan base in the city of Houston as far as major college football programs, because I feel like there's a lot more LSU fans here.
Yeah, and there's probably more U of H fans here.
I don't know about from a football perspective. I don't know if we've quite gotten there. I still feel like the University of Houston Cougars fans generally have a higher profile team that they also root for. And they won't admit that when the Cougs are doing well in football. Say a couple of years ago when Tom Herman was running the show, the Ed Oliver era, but maybe the Case Keenum era too. But I don't think from a football perspective they'll do that. Basketball, 100%. And they should. You should. It's interesting to note. I was looking up just the Cougs as we get closer and closer to the tournament. I'm wearing a Cougars shirt right now. It is interesting to note that the Cougars have been to the Final Four 6 times. They are in borderline blue blood territory when it comes to college basketball. And it's funny because the program was dealing with rats in the locker room literally 5 years ago? Was it even closer to now than that? But if you take a look at where the Cougs rank compared to other teams when it comes to college basketball royalty, UNC 21 Final Four appearances, UCLA 18, Duke and Kentucky 17, Kansas 16, Michigan State and Ohio State 10, Indiana and Louisville 8. I would say of all those programs that we listed, UNC, UCLA, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, and Indiana would qualify as blue bloods. Michigan State, Ohio State, Louisville are borderline. And then you got tied at 6, Arkansas, Cincy, Michigan, Oklahoma State, that's a surprising one, Syracuse, Villanova, and the Cougs. No titles yet. Hopefully this is the year. Anyway, sometimes we stumble into a conversation that is not what we intended to get into when we started off this segment, and we will try to interpret some NFL tweets in a moment because Laramie Tunsil tweeted something yesterday, and it was rather cryptic, but I was reading the Twitch chat, and this is a conversation I've had with one of my buddies, Kyle, a couple of times. He argues, as do many friends that are around my age, that Houston isn't an NFL city. It's a college football town. I don't think that's wrong. And maybe some of you guys will disagree, and maybe some, if I were to put this poll up on Twitter, a lot of my followers who I think are largely those who follow the Houston Texans, not people who are looking to me for UT content or Texas A&M content. I think most people don't think I'm the sharpest college football mind, and I'm not going to really argue with that. I'm trying to be better. It's been weird having worked at 2 NFL flagship radio stations for the majority of my radio career. You kind of get into a point where you're borderline pigeonholed. I am somebody who knows a lot about the NFL, but other sports I do wish I was a little bit better at. And it's funny, you work at those places, you talk so much NFL, and you talk so much about those hometown teams, maybe you lose sight of the forest because of the trees. Is that what the saying is? I don't know. I don't care. But you know what I'm trying to say here. I think Houston is a college football town. And I think it has to do with the Oilers leaving. I mean, what a weird place it must be. Say you're in one of those formative sports fan years. I would say from age 6 to 16, and your NFL team just leaves. And the couple of years that they were here before they left, it was like they didn't want to be here anymore. They were just a zombie, like slowly bleeding out on the street. So a question for you. You can answer this at 713-780-3776, 713-780-ESPN. Is Houston an NFL town or is Houston a college football town? Because it is one of those weird places because of the Oilers leaving. Sean, how would you answer that question? Because I feel like you're more passionate about UT than you are about the Houston Texans.
Oh, yeah. I'm not passionate about the Houston Texans, like, in any way whatsoever. I would say, I would say it's more a college football town than a NFL town. But it's also tough because, like, the Texans have just, like, I feel like it just sapped the NFL hunger out of everyone in the city, especially since 2020. So it's hard to say. And I'm sure the next time the Texans like win 2 AFC South championships in a row, it'll like the tide will turn a little bit more.
Maybe.
But I do feel like on average it is more of a college football town.
I think they have vampired the energy of most NFL fans away, and totally understandable, right? Totally understandable. The last couple of years have been frustrating. Hell, even some of the good Bill O'Brien years were frustrating. Really, I think the last time that this fan base was optimistic was 2011 and 2012. And I mean, shoot, that's a decade ago. And since then, you had a couple of Bill O'Brien years where you're like, well, at the very least, they're a watchable product.
Those 6 Deshaun Watson games his rookie year.
Right. And a year where they didn't do so
stunk.
well.
Yeah. They
didn't do so well
lost
after he
half
got
of them
hurt.
because of Bill O'Brien.
Right. Things fell apart. And then you had the weird end of the season thing between Rick Smith and Bill O'Brien. They won 9 games in a row, and people were like, whatever. I mean, that's sort of where this city is. So appreciate the Twitch for bringing this up conversationally, but I would agree with them. This is a college football town, and the tricky thing is there are so many mouths to feed. From a sports talk radio perspective, like if you talk about one, other people are going to get annoyed that you're not talking about them, and it's difficult. And this past year also, let's be honest, like sucked for pretty much everyone because of the A&M blowing it the way that they did this past year. UT had some high moments of excitement, but then they would blow it by losing a game that you didn't think that they should. LSU wasn't good this past year, at least compared to expectations, though Brian Kelly does seem to be taking them in the right direction. You are in a spot where, even with all that said, there's still more passion about college football, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think that maybe we need to get – it's going to be hard because he's dealing with some issues right now.
Yeah.
We need to get Clay Walker back in the studio to record It's College Football Time in Houston. And we're ready to play.
You know what? That's how he can uncancel himself.
Just throw in a college in there.
Right.
And then, instead of talking about whatever Liberty Wyatt and Deep Steel, I don't know any of the
smooth,
lyrics.
Mother bleeper.
I don't know any of the lyrics of that song. Yeah, you throw it, you have a verse for the A&M fans. You have a verse for the UH fans. A verse for the Texas Tech, LSU. Yeah. And you just pander. It's the ultimate pander song is what I'm asking. That's how Clay Walker ingratiates himself back in the hearts and minds of Houstonians.
I'm with you there. It's college football time in Houston.
It's college football time in Houston.
Drive smooth, mother bleeper.
Yeah, exactly.
God, I love that quote. I can't believe he said that. Just
drive me smooth, mother bleeper.
Drive me smooth. You're right. Drive me smooth, mother bleeper. And then he comes back to like rail him for more. Text in from the 832. Imagine the Browns. Watson sucks this year, so they hire Bill O'Brien next year. That would be at least a 20-year setback. That's not. Well, no. Well, Actually, that's not impossible.
That exact combination has set the Texans back like 5 years. And that's without the Deshaun Watson contract that he's going to be a $60 million cap hit 3 years from now.
I don't think that's impossible. Think about this. Stefanski and Watson, it did not work last year. And Stefanski's not a good coach.
We're really stepping on some Prime July content, but
that is
Stefanski is a coach coaching for his job.
100%. O'Brien in Cleveland is not totally insane because Watson liked O'Brien too.
That's the thing that I feel like gets under. It flies under the radar that everyone loved Watson and hated O'Brien, so they assume that that's what their relationship was. No, Watson loved O'Brien.
Do you think O'Brien wants to go down with the ship if the Patriots suck this year? No, he's good. I mean, the Patriots are probably not going to be good this year. I'll admit it. And do you think he wants to be a part of a sinking ship, or if there's a head coach opening, which he has been rumored in some of them, if the Browns are open, you think he wouldn't take that job? I think we're onto something here, Texter. I think that was a great take by you. That's possible.
Is it more likely that he wants to hang around to get the Patriots job if Bill Belichick steps down in the next let's just say 2 or 3 years? Or if the Cleveland Browns open up, do you think he's just like, yeah, first flight out of any job?
First
really?
Flight out.
Okay.
First flight out, 100%.
And then he probably thinks, and then when Bill steps down, then I can circle back.
This is possible, guys. I'm telling you. That's Sean Mapes Behind the Glass. I'm Paul Gallant. It's the Paul Gallant Show, the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. Is Houston a college football town or an NFL town? The most interactive sports talk show in Houston. I just put up a poll. @Gallant says, Houston is an NFL town or a college football town? Dustin is Sources responds to me on Twitter saying, baseball town, pal. But that's not the point of the question. Obviously, right now, it is a baseball town. But if you got to pick between the two football options, does this city care more about the NFL or college football? That's all I want to know. Couple of texts in at 713-780-3776. LSU Brad texts in. LSU exceeded all expectations by a lot. They were projected to finish last in the SEC West. I was curious, though, if LSU fans have gotten to a point where your expectations are constantly sky high. Because I feel like from a talent year-by-year basis, you generally have as much as anybody in the entirety of the sport. You just are unfortunate enough to be in the same division of the SEC as Alabama. But a fair point. LSU Brad also obviously says it's a college town. Another texter says, Houston is neither. It is a fair weather type town. When the Texans were good, this was an actual football town. When the Cougs were good, this was a college football town. I would specify saying maybe more so a college basketball town. I don't know how many people really jumped in on the Cougs bandwagon back in, what was it, 2015, 16, when Tom Herman was running the show. Because let's be honest, Cougs fans, some of you guys were douches. You were very sensitive about a lot. How dare they not talk about us? Well, you're in the AAC. I get it. You've been blocked from joining the Big 12 until next year. And then even then, Oklahoma, Texas, they're leaving. So is it really like a true entry into the Big 12? I suppose that's up for debate. But I think there's a ton of college football fans in this city, and I am curious to the answer to that question. I'm shocked by the results of this poll. @Gallant says, at ESPN 97.5, at Sean A. Mapes Behind the Glass, Houston is a NFL town or a college football town. 78.4% say it is a NFL town. 21.6% say it is a college football town. That blows my mind, especially given the average Houston sports fan that I speak to who had the football team up and leave them and got the Houston Texans as their replacement pet, their stepdad or mom. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, but clearly there's not a lot of love there. To clean up the text line, Houston is a college football town, says somebody from the 713. Too many transplants to make it a NFL town. Well, the lots of transplants would keep it an NFL town. I don't think that everybody goes to a college with a good college football program, but I do think that most people from the area, not just UT and A&M and LSU and Baylor and TCU and Texas Tech and Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida. There's a lot of Florida fans here. I think it's a massive, as far as just like the pie chart, college football petri dish. There's not one team that everyone focuses on. I'm shocked by this answer, though. I really am. Maybe it's the transplants, but you would think the transplants would like college football, too.
Yeah, I would think that the transplants work in the favor of it being a college football town because...
I would too, like the texter said.
Yeah, because you would have, like...
That one Ohio State texter that texts all the time angrily.
Yeah.
There's tons of Ohio State fans.
How dare you not show respect to Ohio State?
My bad, I forgot.
God. And you also didn't call him a blue blood. I noticed that.
That's true.
Yeah. Do you know how many people move from Ohio to Houston every year?
Apparently, like 3 million a year, per that one texter.
Surprised there's still people in Ohio.
I'm surprised that this isn't Ohio. Replace the Texas flag with the Ohio flag right now.